Welcome back to a brand new My 5. I hope everyone is having a great week. I, as always, am your host, the one, the only, the second Irish Bandit. And the first thing you will see is that we're not in my apartment. For longtime viewers who have been watching since the very first season of Irish Bandit Revolution, you will notice that this setting is familiar. This is my friend's place. I am currently house sitting for them while they are away on vacation. But that's not going to stop me from doing my thing here on YouTube. So let's just get right into it today on High Five. High Five? High Five? Too many fives. Anyway, today on High Five we were talking about 5 TV shows that I feel did not get a fair shake and were just ended way too soon. Let's just get the obvious one out of the way right now. It only lasted for 14 episodes on Fox. That being the Joss Whedon created masterpiece known as Firefly. So I came to Firefly pretty late. I only started watching it in 2012. Well, there's only 14 episodes, one season if you want to get technical. But I've been such a fan of Joss Whedon's other work, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel. I love the fact that he directed The Avengers, and I think he did a great job with this. And watching Firefly, I realized that it was a fantastic show, and I don't know why I didn't watch it when it was first on. Because it only started in 2002, I do believe. So, 10 years after is when I started watching it. But it was a really fantastically done series, and well cast. You had such an amazing cast with the likes of Nathan Fillion as Captain Malcolm Reynolds, Adam Baldwin as the man they call Jane, the hero of Kenton, the man they call Jane. You had Summer Glau as River Tam. Just a wonderful cast, and I really fell in love with Jewel Staite's character of Kaylee Fry. She was so, you put her up against Inara and Kaylee will win every time, even though Inara is gorgeous. Like, the actress who plays her, Marina Baccara, is a gorgeous female. You can see her now on Gotham. So I would have really loved to see a full season and a second season and maybe a third season. We did get the Serenity movie a few years later, and that really tied everything together, and it really ripped your heart apart if you were a fan of Firefly. Everyone has gone on to do different things now, sadly. Nathan Fillion's dipping his toe in acting in movies. Like I said, Marina is now on Gotham. Jewel Staite is a mom now and doing a monthly tea service. I think she's still acting though. And unfortunately, this past year, Ron Glass, who played Shepard Book, passed away. So I really don't think that we'll be seeing a Firefly reunion anytime soon. Another show that I don't think we'll be seeing a reunion to because everybody's doing something else is a show that I completely loved. It came out in 2007, and it was, wow, post-apocalyptic in rural America is the best way I could put it. That show was known as Jericho. What would happen if a rural American town, just a small little town, was caught up in one of the biggest, most horrendous cases of homegrown terrorism there ever was, and they're completely cut off from the outside world? That was the premise of Jericho. It was 23 or 22 separate cities in America are attacked, and it cuts off everybody else, and then you have this little town who fends for themselves the entire time. It was a really well done, really well acted series, great writing. You had a great cast to do it as well. You had Skeet Ulrich as the main character of Jake Green. You had Ashley Scott as his love interest. You had Gerald McRaney as his father. You had Pamela. I forget her name, but she was in Kindergarten Cop with Arnold Schwarzenegger. She played his mom. Again, fantastic cast. You had James Remar, who popped up for a couple episodes as Ashley Scott's father. He was just, great in that series. It lasted a complete season on CBS, but then at their upfronts a few weeks later, the show was canceled. leaving it on a cliffhanger, which really upset me. The great thing about this was it had such an impassioned fan base. They protested, they picketed, they signed petitions, they sent bags and bags of peanuts to CBS's main office in Los Angeles. And eventually, all that got the show back on the air for 7 episodes, second season. Now, I've always said that Jericho ending in the first season was the fault of CBS. Jericho ending in the second season, that was our fault. Because they said to us, you know, we're going to give you 7 episodes, and if the ratings meet our expectations, we'll give you a complete third season. And we didn't get the ratings. It didn't help that the first few episodes were leaked on torrent sites, so I think that kind of had something to do with it. But Jericho was a great season. Again, this series, this is one I don't think we're going to see a reunion for or a continuation to. There's a continuation in IDW Comics, the season 4 and 5, which are fantastic. I have every issue. But I don't think we're going to get an actual Jericho show. Because you have Skeet Ulrich, who is now doing Riverdale, and who's been promoted to a main cast member as F.B. Jones. Don't really know what Ashley Scott's doing. Last thing I remember her being in was 12 Rounds with John Cena. Lenny James is on The Walking Dead. Gerald McRaney's now doing more acting, movie acting. Last thing I seen him in was The A-Team. So I don't think we're going to get another Jericho reunion. Like, I think with all these shows, yeah, they deserve to go on longer, but unfortunately they're not going to see the same fate as something like Arrested Development, which saw new life on Netflix. So, but I would love to see it. I would really love to see it. Another show that I think ended too soon. It only lasted 5 seasons, so it lasted a while, but I think it could have gone an extra season after that, but, you know, I blame that on the WB for what happened. And that is, well, we talked about it earlier this season on Irish Band Revolution when we ranked it. We're talking about Angel. So I've already talked a lot about Angel this past season, so I won't get too much into that. And just, you know, spin-off of Buffy, Vampire with a Soul, yada 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 yada. I do think that Angel could have lasted at least 1 or 2 more seasons. Like, I would have loved to see it get a 6th season. Like, just to see how everything wrapped up at the end of season 5. Where, you know, you have everybody going to war, guns nearly dying. You have the spirit that has taken over Fred. I can't remember her name. Ilya, I think. I could be wrong. Leave comments down below. And then, of course, you have Angel and Spike, the 2 immortal vampires, who are ready to fight and throw down. So, I really have to blame WB Network for this one, because from what I understand, they couldn't reach an agreement with Joss Whedon to do another season of Angel, which is what kind of, you know, ended it. Sad to see it go. I would have loved to see it last a couple more seasons, but... And now you have David Boreanaz, who went on to do Bones, and now he's starring in a new series on CBS. James Marsters is making the convention rounds, and he's also performing with his band Ghost of the Robot. You had Amy Acker, who has had guest appearances on Once Upon a Time, and she's also been in Cabin in the Woods. I think that's it. J. August Richards is, I think he's on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. now. Or guest starring at least on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And of course, I mentioned Andy Howlett in the Irish Band Revolution episode. Miss him every day and love him. And I actually watched the season 2 premiere of Angel recently. It's every time he sings, "I Will Survive." But yes, Angel could have lasted at least 1 more season, and sad to see it go, but it left a great legacy behind. Number 4 on our list only lasted, well, appropriately enough, 4 seasons on NBC. This was a funny show, had a great cast. I think all of these shows had great casts. Had funny, smart writing, and it was just so... It was fun to watch. It was the Jason Lee-headed My Name is Earl. Karma's a funny thing, and so was My Name is Earl. I think the premise behind the show was hilarious. You had this low-life degenerate named Earl Hickey, played by Jason Lee, who did bad things and had bad things happen to him. So one day he steals some money and uses it to get a scratch lotto ticket, in which he wins $100,000. Sorry, wins $100,000. Immediately is hit by a car and loses the ticket. He starts, when he's recovering in the hospital, he's watching Carson Daly talking about how karma has saved him, do good things and good things will happen for you. So he starts making his list out of all the bad things that he has done since childhood, and he's trying to make it better for himself by correcting all those mistakes. He starts picking up trash around the motel where he's living. His winning lotto ticket comes back to him, which helps him do more of the stuff on his list to get done. I think this was just one of the funniest series. It was probably one of the most well cast you've ever seen. You had Jason Lee as Earl. You had Ethan Suplee as his brother Randy. You had Jamie Presley as his psychotic ex-wife Joy. You had Eddie Steeples as the lovable Darnell. Oh, I love Darnell. I live my life by Darnell. But it was a fantastic show. Great supporting cast, too. And unfortunately, this only lasted 4 seasons on NBC, but most of that was due to the writer's strike in 2007. So, writer's strike happened. Most shows that weren't lasting a while got booted, and unfortunately this was one of them. I would love to see what happened at the end of season 4, because at the end of season 4 it left off with such a bad cliffhanger that I was like, oh, really? Really? That's how this is all going to end. This is how this is all going to end. It was, come on, we got to get a movie or something. Like, it's been 10 years now, so if there's nothing by this point, I don't think there's going to be anything now. Unfortunately, it's just one of those things we're going to have to draw our own conclusions to it. So, but yes, definitely, My Name is Earl should have lasted another season or two, 2 or 3. Really, it was that good. It was that good. And finally, another show that ended way too soon. This one only lasted 1 season. It got a complete season, but it ended, again, this one ended on a cliffhanger, which really pissed me off when I watched it recently. Because when this was first on, I caught it in like snippets. I didn't watch the full, I didn't watch the full series the first time around, but after I got on DVD, I did. Let's just talk about it. Crow, Stairway to Heaven. World-class martial artist Mark Dacascos took over for Brandon Lee as the role of Eric Draven for The Crow, Stairway to Heaven. This was such a faithful retelling of the movie. Like, it, when you're on TV, you can't do a lot of stuff you can do in film. Because in the film version of The Crow, Eric Draven just goes out, kills everybody who had anything to do with the murder of him and his fiancée, Shelley. You can't really do that on TV. So you just basically had him severely injure everyone, including Top Dollar. He did the thing where he, 30 hours of pain, all for you. Then he took a whole bunch of other things from this little museum that Top Dollar had in his office and just made Top Dollar go nuts. So, but this was a really well done show, and I loved how they took how Eric became the Crow, because he only became the Crow when he was angry, and he would go nuts. Like, it would be a whole different personality altogether when he wasn't, Eric. When he was the Crow, he was, quipping off one-liners and kicking ass and doing all that stuff. I felt this was a really good show that really, really should have had a second season, especially with how season 1 ended. Shelley comes back to, or it's assumed that Shelley comes back to the living world. But we don't get the payoff for that. There was always talk of a TV movie or something along that lines, but it never happened. I don't know what else everyone else is doing. I know Mark Gomes who played Detective Albrecht. He was on an episode of Criminal Minds a while back. But I know Mark Dacascos has been on Iron Chef, so That's all I know. I don't think, unfortunately, I don't think there's going to be any resolution to that, which really sucks. It's like everything else on this list, with the exception of Angel. No, exception of Angel and Jericho. No resolution to anything. So, I would love to see it, but it's not going to happen. But at least I got The Crow Stairway to Heaven on DVD, which is something I've always asked for. So, I'm happy for that. Alright, well, let me know what you think down below in the comments section. Is there any that I missed? Don't be afraid to let me know. If you like this episode, give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to share anywhere you can. And don't forget to subscribe for all new content. We're going to have an Irish Bandit Revolution coming up this Tuesday. I'm talking about more strange TV theories, and then I will be back in 2 weeks. We're going to get the hype train to Saskatoon Expo started as I talk about 5 celebrities that I would love to see at Saskatoon Expo. Until then, I'm the Bandit, and I will see you again for another High Five.